Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Changes podcast. I'm your host, Chris Fraser. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode is a very special one. It features someone who has been a teacher of mine, someone who I've looked up to, I still look up to as a guitar player, as a performer, as a professional in this field. It's Bill Coon. He did have an episode early on in the podcast back in 2022 with Will. It's also featuring Laura Crema. The two of them had a conversation with Will. There's no continuity though. Don't worry about that. Today, Bill and I talk about his upcoming solo guitar record, Standard Elegance, which is going to be coming out October 3rd. We get into, playing solo guitar, something he and I have both done. He's done obviously much, much more than I have. He used to have a regular gig over at O'Doul's, an old jazz club in Vancouver, which isn't around anymore. Talking about arranging and orchestration for the guitar and a whole bunch of other stuff. The guitar itself, we try not to get too geary, and we're both not very much like, guitar gearheads. So it's a really great conversation. I had a great time. And without any further ado, please enjoy.
So where I recorded this thing.
Yeah, you recorded it down here? Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I have a CD player in my living room, and I actually bought a Discman. Do you listen to music on the go? Do you listen to music on your phone or anything like that?
Yep. I listen to music on my phone sometimes. Mostly that's for, having people like students listen to music or,
Yeah, of course.
That type of thing.
It's so convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then even then you can, if you have an electric guitar, you can always place it on your pickup, as you know, and then it gets a little louder.
That's the old trick.
That's the old trick. It's a perfect trick.
Yeah.
It's not good sound, but it works.
Well, you talk about teaching, but I mean, you just retired from CAP, starting, or I guess at the end of last year, right? At the end of, the end of the 2025 year of classes.
Yes, I mean, let's say spring of 2025.
Spring 2025, yeah.
But my actual final day at CAP was August 31st.
Oh, okay.
I was not at CAP on that day.
Right. No, you weren't there? You didn't have one last walk through the halls while it was empty?
I've walked through those halls many a time.
Yeah?
Probably enough.
You didn't think you'd miss anything?
Oh, there's things I definitely miss about CAP for sure. I mean, I miss all the other teachers.
Oh yeah.
I miss the students that I got to know, and I miss the idea of welcoming 30 or 40 new students every year. And,
for sure, yeah.
I don't miss trying to learn all their names though.
Right.
That was always challenging for me.
How long does it? No one's going to get mad. How long does it take for a name to stick usually, on average?
That really depends on the name, to me.
Sure.
Sometimes if someone has a more unusual name,
if
it's too unusual, I won't remember it. If it's somewhere in the middle of being unusual, and some people, to me, they don't look like their names.
Yeah.
Like
I get that.
To me, you look like a Chris.
I look like a Chris?
You. Yeah.
I think I've grown into a Chris over the years. Yeah.
Maybe we grow into our names. That's possible.
Yeah. No, you're definitely a Bill.
Okay.
I wouldn't call you a Will.
Okay. No, we're not a Will, but my real name is William.
William, yeah.
So some people on occasion will call me William.
Yeah, I know you've been referred to, I think, by Bradshaw Pack in class as Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Remember the other nicknames that he gave me? Do you remember any of those?
No. Billy's the one that sticks.
Chill Bill Part 2.
That's really good.
That was probably the best one.
That's really good.
He called me the country gentleman for a while too, as well, but that didn't really stick.
Isn't it Volume 2? Anyway. Yeah. That's what you set your amp at? Volume 2?
Mostly.
Yeah. Speaking of amps, there's a couple in here. We're at your house, by the way, in Burnaby, BC. Beautiful Burnaby, BC. Got your lunchbox, your ZT lunchbox.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that one at Tangent Cafe. And you got this nice vintage Gibson Falcon.
So that vintage Falcon is an amp that Ron Samworth helped me to find.
Oh, wow.
And
so is this something you were on the hunt for?
I was kind of on the hunt for an older, smaller tube amp.
Right.
Just to have. And it turned out that it does have a great sound, and like smaller, older tube amps, it does not have a loud sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it was perfect for recording the solo CD. That's what I used it for.
So you recorded it on this amplifier.
Mm-hmm, exactly. But if you take it out into the real world, you have to have it mic'd or be playing very quietly. Like you could play solo with this. But even having a bass player sometimes, depending on the room, it's just not, doesn't quite have enough guts. It's loud enough, but it'll start to break up, and so you don't get that clean sound that I'm looking for most of the time.
Yeah. I listened to that that cut of All the Things You Are that you released as a single. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Gorgeous playing, really.
Cheers.
And yeah, it's such a glassy, crystal clean tone that you have on that, which is so great because you make such like such interesting and like sometimes bold chord choices, and so like having that kind of tone like really lets everything like shine through.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. That's good observation.
And I wonder, so like let's talk about the record. So Standard Elegance, it's coming out October 3rd, 2nd?
October 3rd. That's 3rd. Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the date. You got it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's from one guitarist to another. I mean, solo guitar, it's a big undertaking, right? I mean, like, especially making a record of solo guitar music, like, it's you're kind of filling big shoes playing solo guitar. I'm thinking of like probably three records off the top of my head that are solo guitar records that are just like enormous to me.
Yeah, which ones are those for you?
Well, I think of Virtuoso. I can, the Joe Pass Virtuoso records, I can think of them all as kind of like one record. But that's kind of the blueprint, I guess, for like the solo guitar thing, in the jazz tradition at least. There's Peter Bernstein's Smalls solo record, and then Ted Green solo. That one's a little bit different because he's playing the Telecaster, and he's playing it like a keyboard, and I think he was like kind of an alien.
Yeah, no, very
and
unique
and
guitar
the tuning
playing.
is weird. He's in the half step drop D flat tuning for a lot of those, and it almost feels it sounds like a different instrument.
Yeah, it's very unique sounding.
But I think that you slot in as like your own style, but I think it's probably closer to that modern approach that someone like Pete would have. But I mean, I know this is like a huge project for you. Like, what are these arrangements that you would come up because you knew you were making a record, or are these maybe some arrangements that you've been playing over the years as you've done solo guitar gigs? Or
Well, I would say that what's on the album is mostly things that I started to explore once I started recording it.
Okay.
Strangely enough, the idea of the record though came from playing many gigs at a place called O'Doul's.
Right.
And
I never got to go to O'Doul's. I keep hearing about O'Doul's. Yeah. I know there was a jam session there.
That's right. It used to be a great jam session during the Jazz Festival. It was a really great place for that.
I think that building is gone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, someone told me about that.
They got rid of that building. Yeah, because it was a different restaurant for a while on Robson and I want to say, no, not Thurlow. Maybe Jervis? Butte? Okay, yeah.
I think it was Butte.
Yeah.
So the thing about O'Doul's was you have to imagine a time when there was actually jazz 7 nights a week somewhere. And I think it's always like that. You're always like, look back in the past, says, oh, there was more jazz back then. I don't even know if there was more jazz, but this particular place had jazz 7 nights a week. So they had trios 3 nights of the week, and then solos 4 nights of the week.
Wow.
And so sometimes I would play there a solo night, and then I'd play their trio night, and there would be like 4 nights a week at a place.
Wow.
Which is, but just that sort of having to get up in front of people and create music with just a guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are many moments in my life, and maybe you feel like this too, where you're sort of, it's a sink or swim moment, and you have to do something. And I don't know how, I didn't necessarily swim elegantly at the time,
right?
But it really gave me the taste for what you could do with just a guitar. And of course, as you talked about some of those records, and Joe Pass, his playing on all the Virtuoso records, and also his playing on the Ella Fitzgerald Joe Pass records, where he would also take a solo.
Right.
That probably is a little closer to what I do, rather than because I'm, I don't have the technical ability of Joe Pass. But having said that, it's just an incredible challenge and kind of a delight to think about the guitar as an orchestra.
Yes. Okay, that is something I wanted to talk with you about, is because the more I've done some in the last few years, I've done more solo guitar gigs than before, and I've also played with vocalists quite a bit, and so you do end up being in that same Joe Pass, Ella Fitzgerald situation. And what I've really come to appreciate about the guitar is that, I mean, you're so exposed in those situations, obviously, and what you have to rely on is your ability to arrange for the instrument, because that's really what it comes down to, is like your ability to arrange, to understand the limits of the instrument and be able to either master the limits or learn how to push them in one way or another. And sure. Like you're sitting in front of a bookcase filled with arranging books, and you also obviously have a history of arranging music quite a bit. So like, can you break down the orchestral aspect of approaching the guitar?
I think you're looking for different sounds of the guitar, because if you just created one sound, then after a while it would just get to be too much. So so one way to do that is to use effects, and to use different effects. And I did that when I was younger, when I played in wedding bands, and I did, of course, but I just never really loved that. And when I came to Vancouver, I think it really, playing with someone like Oliver Gannon, and seeing what he did with it, playing with people like, I never played with Ed Bickert, but I got to have one lesson with him. There are people like that, and Jim Hall, who also I studied with. Like those people, they all had this beautiful guitar sound. Yeah. In Ollie's case, still has this beautiful guitar sound, and so I guess I was always going for that. I was always going for the beauty of the sound of the guitar.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's part of it, but also then, as you say, how do you arrange or orchestrate the guitar? And so, then it becomes a matter of maybe the range of the guitar. Yeah, because it has a pretty big range when you think about it, right?
It really does.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, almost 4 octaves. And so that's pretty cool. And then, using harmonics, because that gives you a different sound. And then it's also like, okay, every way to play a note, do you play a full chord? Do you play sixes? Do you play fourths? Do you play just the one note? Do you play octaves? Yeah. So all that, do you play a minor second? All those give color to the playing. Yeah. So I guess that's what I've investigated more, spent time working on. And that's and that idea of the guitar orchestra, although this wasn't a solo guitar gig, years ago when I lived in Montreal, I got to hear Tal Farlow play. And he really had that sense about his playing, although I don't know if he ever recorded so much like that, but when I heard him play live, I got that sense that he really thought of the guitar in that way, orchestrally. Yeah.
Oh, in that, like you're sort of like hearing the different sections of the guitar one at a time, maybe, or because you can, I think a more, I don't want to say basic, but like an intuitive way of understanding the guitar is that there's a bass section, there's a middle section, and there's a treble section, right?
Sure.
And I know that's that's probably a way that will very naturally come to somebody. Was Tal Farlow an arranger per se?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, but I felt he had that
Yeah.
sense about him. So in other words, if we just look at someone like, you think about someone like Pat Martino,
Yeah.
who had incredible chops and also the incredible facility.
Yeah.
He had a really great sound, very fluid.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't really get the sense that he thought of the guitar orchestrally.
Right.
Although sometimes he would play octaves, but that
Right.
would be about it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was someone who used chords, who used all the different ideas at his disposal in terms of like how to make the guitar sound differently,
Yes.
and also aware of changing things up.
Yeah.
And maybe, yeah. In other words, you're not really going for the same sound or the same range all the time.
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, like that's also the kind of thing that would stick out to you. Like you, Bill Coon, would watch Tal Farlow and think, "Oh, this guy's kind of playing orchestrally,"
Well,
right?
I guess I always had that feeling. I always loved the sound of either an orchestra or a big band or three horns. I mean,
Yeah.
And the thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that when I went to school, everyone thinks I went to McGill because I lived in Montreal.
Right.
But when I went to McGill, I didn't go to McGill. Sorry.
Well, now what's the answer?
Whoops. Actually, I went to Concordia because at the
Right.
time when I was studying, McGill didn't have a fully fledged jazz program.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Dean and Gordon Foote hadn't arrived in Montreal yet.
Okay.
And so they hadn't really created a full jazz program. So I couldn't take arranging or composition.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to Concordia. And at that time, they had 3 big bands.
Wow.
And people it's one of those things that's kind of lost to history because everyone thinks about McGill as being the main thing. And so I learned about arranging when I was at Vanier from a guy named Al Baculis, which was a cégep, and then later on at Concordia from different people, Donna Bibb, Charles Ellison, Andrew Holmesy. So, that was kind of my focus, and I was playing gigs on the side.
Right.
I don't know if I can say this, if I should say this publicly, but I didn't take a guitar lesson when I was at Concordia.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
I know, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's, but
maybe
you did
stupid.
take a guitar lesson from Jim Hall. So I think
I took several, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think you have special dispensation compared to maybe somebody else in that position. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, because again, like the more I've played guitar, the more I realize how important understanding arranging is.
Right.
And obviously, like developing your facility on the instrument is going to help you realize your arranging arrangements. But I mean, if you already had that under your fingers, then why do you need a guitar lesson? I don't know. I don't blame you. Guitar lessons are for people who know how to play guitar or don't know how to play guitar.
Well, I was also very stubborn.
Right.
I wanted to study with people who were out playing jazz.
Yeah.
And at that point, there wasn't really anyone there that was teaching that was out playing jazz. And so when I actually got the call, it was actually the year after I graduated from Concordia, I got the call to teach at Concordia.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, if I'm going to teach jazz guitar, then I have to make sure that whatever I do, that I'm playing so that my students can go out and hear me.
Yeah.
And they can decide whether they like it or not, but at least they know that I'm out there doing it. So that was always something that was in the back of my mind. And still, when I got position at Capilano, the same thing was there. And believe me, there were some difficult 8:30 morning classes after playing gigs the night before. I mean, I'm sure you've done things like that yourself. You had to get up early and try and be, lucid and coherent.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
maybe someone bought you a drink at the end of the night.
Right.
It would have been better if you hadn't had it for that 8:30 class.
Totally.
But just the amount of sleep or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like that was important. Is important, in fact.
Yeah, I do think I kind of agree with you. I think it's important, at least in if you have the if you want to be performing, you want to be learning from a person who is performing or who has.
I know it seems like a basic thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just that,
and I mean, the first jazz show that I saw at the Cellar was Too Much Guitar.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Yeah. When I was
myself and Ollie Gannon,
you and Ollie,
Dave Robbins,
Dave, and
probably Darren Radke. I think he did almost all those gigs.
I think it probably would have been Darren. Yeah, and that was. I mean, that was awesome to go out to the Cellar, like the kind of room that the Cellar was, it
was a great room for that band or for many bands.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful room.
It was just awesome to see that music and to see these just seasoned pros, and having such a great time too. Like Too Much Guitar is just such a fun band.
Yeah, it was really a fun band.
There's nothing like there isn't very much gravitas. It's not it's not like it's not I don't want to say it's not like irreverent, but it's the name is a pun. You know what I mean? Like
TWO Much Guitar.
Yeah.
Well, and do you know how we got the name? Do you know the story? Okay, the story. It's not that long. We're actually Ollie and I were playing duo, I believe, at O'Doul's, the previously mentioned O'Doul's, which is a restaurant. And so we thought we were sounding pretty good. We were playing together, and we might have had a bass player with us because we had trios. So we're playing, and at the end of the set, we finish our set, and we see this older gentleman walking towards us. He's got a cane, and so he's walking quite slowly. And so Ollie and I are waiting for him because we can see that he wants to come talk to us. We think, well, here's a fan. He's gonna tell us that he enjoyed the music, because he's coming up to us. He looks at us right in the eye and he goes, "That's just too much guitar." And he walks away. I could not make up a story like that. That is actually true. And so all I look at each other like, whoa.
And he wasn't kidding around.
He wasn't kidding around because he looked at us and then he walked away. And he was not about to have any more of that. That was enough for him.
That's simply too much.
Too much. And so I think it was me who thought later when we actually recorded that, we have to call this band something. It's not just going to be Ollie Gannon and Bill Coon. And so I thought, well, let's call it Too Much Guitar. And let's use own that particular idea. And of course, the people who enjoy the band would always say, well, there's no way, that's not too much guitar, or there's no such thing as too much guitar. So it became
it's easy.
Things that someone could riff on.
It's almost, it writes itself.
Yes.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, because you always expect somebody to come up and start talking to you about your guitar or your gear or your tone or something like
very
that.
Often. Who made that guitar?
Exactly. You are sitting next to a very beautiful guitar that you've had for a long time. What's the story behind this guitar, this Kinnell?
Well, I was playing a Roger Boris guitar, and he's a guitar maker that's still around. Lives back east. I'm not sure where he lives right now, but anyways, great guitar maker. Emily Remler played one of his guitars.
Oh yeah.
And so I got a call from a friend of mine who told me that Roger Boris had a guitar for sale. I guess I'm going back a little bit, but anyways, and the long story short is that I bought a used guitar from Roger Boris, and I played this for many years. And it's really interesting guitar because it's chambered, so hollow inside, but no F holes.
Oh, okay.
And so it sounded somewhere between a solid body guitar and a notch-top guitar.
Right.
And Mike Kinnell would come out and see me sometimes play. And Mike I didn't know at that time. I think I knew he was a guitar maker, but I didn't
Right.
know that he was a great guitar maker.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and says, you know, I'm learning guitar. If you teach me guitar, I'll make you a guitar.
Man, what a deal.
And you can't say no to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I ended up paying him some money as well, but I taught him guitar for 2 years, and he made me this beautiful guitar.
Yeah.
And I figured I had nothing to lose, because if I didn't like it, then I guess I had just lost some guitar lessons. But
Yeah.
I ended up loving the guitar, and
Yeah.
15 years later, it's actually, you know what? Okay, so I'm looking inside the guitar as we speak here,
Yeah.
and it's 2006. So that's when I started playing it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
June 2006. Shortly after that, I started playing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 19 years ago.
Wow.
I've been playing that guitar for 19 years.
Wow. I've always admired this guitar. I think it's so beautiful, and it sounds so great, and it projects, and it doesn't have a very big body it has a small body.
It does have a small body.
Jazz guitars.
Yeah.
But it projects so well, and I always thought it was so cool whenever you would turn the volume down and just get the acoustic sound.
Right.
When you're comping for a bass player or something like that. I've totally stolen that from you.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think I stole it from Jim Hall. So
Okay,
that's all
great.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that even works sometimes, even in a larger room.
Yeah.
I remember playing like the with Triology with Jody Prosnick and Miles Black at the West Vancouver Library, and that's actually a fairly large area.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that for Jody's solo, and I remember asking someone at the back.
Yeah.
And I said, "Could you hear that?" I said, "Oh yeah, we definitely could hear that."
Oh, wow.
Back of the room, they could actually hear that. So that
That means
projection.
it's a good room too.
It's a good room.
Yeah.
Good room, good guitar. But when you think about it, we think about what guitar was like in the 30s, and it was all rhythm instrument almost exclusively.
Yeah.
No amplifier.
Right.
Before Charlie Christian. So that's part of to me, that's part of the guitar. It's just part of the guitar heritage. And we've got to know how to deal with that too, because that's part of this thing. In my opinion, anyways. If you're playing a slab or a solid body, then it's a little harder to get that sound. But if you've got a arch top, at some point you want to play 4 to the bar.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you've played some solid body. I mean, you said
no, for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
And then the Boris was kind of a solid body, but because it had an arch. I mean, this is it's hard to describe this without seeing it, but it was a carved top, so it was an arch top guitar.
Yeah.
I have it here actually.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking to sell it.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, I'm looking to sell it because all this talk about guitars, I am buying another guitar.
Oh, are you really?
And it's based on the L5 original 16-inch
No
L5.
way.
Yes, it's not that, but it is based on that. It's called a Mowry, Mowry.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't expect it to replace this guitar, but I've always
gonna be very
wanted
different,
one of those
yeah.
guitars.
Yeah.
And so
I mean,
this
of course.
this came up.
Yeah.
Of course. You say of course, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Not everyone's interested in that, but
The L5?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the sort of the original jazz guitar to me. Like,
definitely.
yeah. That's did you get to try one of them at a show or something, or what?
Yeah, a jazz camp that I've been working at for many years, Sorrento Swing Camp, which is basically like kind of a 1 week jazz camp near Sorrento, BC,
Yep.
the Shuswap Lake, and people would come, amateurs, semi-professionals, professionals,
Yep.
and you'd see a lot of instruments there, and this one particular instrument was an original L5.
Wow.
What we would call a pre-war L5, which means it's 16 inches across, not 17.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a jam session with this guitar. They lent it to me.
Yeah.
His friends lent it to me. And I've never played a guitar that spoke like that.
Right.
And had the dynamics of that. So you could play quiet, you could play
Right,
loud.
right.
It spoke in a way
Yeah.
that I've never really
I mean,
felt.
they were like building them as acoustic guitars back then,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
that makes plenty of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it probably has like a huge sound.
Yeah, and you probably had this feeling too. Like there's some guitars where you can play quietly and it still projects. And,
Yes.
And some guitars where you can play loud, you maybe give it a little more, mustard, as some people say, give it a more force, and it sort of peaks at a certain point.
Right. So it has a compressor built in. It has like a limiter built in.
but this thing didn't seem to have that. It was like a great grand piano where
wow.
you
can really just wow.
So that's what I kind of was looking for, and I may never play it. I may just play it at home. I don't know. I'm just not one of these folks that has 12 guitars.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
I'm the same. I have two guitars at home. Yeah, I have a solid body guitar. I have my jazz guitar, and that's about it. Because they're just my working guitars. So.
Yeah, I mean, you need money to have a lot of guitars. It seems, for one thing. I've always sold a guitar to buy another guitar.
Yeah.
Especially when I was younger. I remember selling a beautiful guitar. Of course, I wish I still had it, but I was ES 175. And it was an older one. I think it was 59.
Yeah.
I sold it to a member of April Wine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe I bought the Boris because of that. So, one guitar can lead to another.
Yeah. Well, and they can appreciate. So, I mean, if you keep them in good shape, but if you're working on them, I don't know. It's hard to keep them in good shape. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would ever have to do that. I'm not sure if I've told this story on the podcast. I probably haven't. When I was playing at Jazz Fest, this summer, I played my set and finished up. Some guy came up to me right after, and I don't know if you know what guitar I play an Eastman, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "So why do you play an Eastman? Why don't you play a Gibson or something?" And I said, "It's the guitar I own." I can't really give you a better answer than that. It's just the one that I have and the one that I have spent the most time playing. So, it's comfortable to me, and I know that it works and does what I need it to do.
Right.
You know what
I
mean?
That's important. I mean, it's almost like it's almost like the more you play in a professional environment, it's almost like the less you're concerned about the guitar. You're thinking more about the music. You want to surpass the guitar. It's like the guitar is great, but it's not. You're not really thinking about the guitar. You're thinking about music. It's have you ever? I have a question for you.
Okay.
Chris. Have you ever had an experience where you've been at a concert,
right,
and all of a sudden you forgot what instrument this person is playing? Now, I don't mean, literally forget, but I mean almost like in your brain, you're listening to pure music,
right,
rather than an instrument.
I mean, I'm not sure if I've ever been conscious of whether or not I can remember the instrument that I'm listening to, but I think certainly I've been in a situation where that information is secondary.
Right.
Where I'm really just sort of I get into, sometimes I'll get into like a dreamlike phase when I'm listening to music live.
Sure.
And like I'll kind of like I'll be like half asleep. It'll like feel like I'm half asleep. But like I stopped thinking about like those kinds of things, I guess, where it's just like what kind of instrument are they playing? That becomes unimportant.
Yeah.
And it's more about just like hearing pitches and hearing relationships and space and
hearing sounds, hearing textures.
Totally. Yeah.
I anyways, that actual thing I remember happening to me when I had the chance to hear Andre Segovia play.
Oh wow.
And it was the first time that ever happened to me. I would never thought that would happen, but I remember he sat down in this quite large concert hall. There was no mic, And it was like, we couldn't really hear him, and we played a song, played a piece. And then all of a sudden it was like a light bulb went on and I could hear him.
Right. Yeah. You adjust to the room and everything.
Yeah.
And
everyone else did too, it seemed.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And everyone just gets that much quieter.
Exactly.
And suddenly it comes in. Yeah.
And suddenly comes in. He was obviously projecting. I wasn't like really that close to him, but
yeah.
It was quite remarkable. And then at some point during the evening, I had this impression that I was just listening to music and I wasn't listening to the guitar. And it's not like that has happened a lot to me, but in my mind now,
it's harder to do that with guitar.
Is it?
I think for me, it's harder to like not imagine playing what I'm hearing in a way,
of course, yeah.
Right? Or like hearing,
that,
the scrape of a pick or something like that,
right.
where it's like those kind of like guitarisms come out, and then like I'm thinking about there's part of me that reacts in that way.
Right. Sure.
I feel like with other instruments, maybe it's easier for me to just sort of let go of that thing. But I guess if you're listening to classical guitar, and you're Andre Segovia,
yeah,
because Andre Segovia, I there's this great video of him because there's a documentary, and this one video that I love to show students of him talking about playing orchestrally, like being able to represent different instruments with the guitar. Because as he says, the guitar is the only string instrument that can truly play polyphony, as opposed to like, quick arpeggios or double stops or something. You can actually be polyphonic on the guitar.
True. And
because of that, you can represent different parts of the orchestra. And so like he says, cello, and then he plays like with a lot of vibrato and like sustain, and like it sounds like a cello, and then he's like brass, and then he puts his fingers right at the bridge and plucks, and it sounds like a brass section. And so for that reason, I mean, like the guitar is just his particular channel.
Yeah. And in some ways, even if we don't think like that, we're trying to get. I mean, maybe we aren't all trying to get that way, but that's where I'm trying to go for. And so that makes a lot of sense. I've never heard about this video. I'm going to check it out.
I'm going to show you afterwards.
Yeah, you got to show me this. Yeah. But it makes perfect sense because that's how I wasn't thinking exactly like that, but that's how I felt in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, that is incredible. So the guitars are cool. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
But I have about in when people come up to me and talk to me about guitars, I'm happy to talk about them. But I've got about 5 minutes in me.
Same.
After that, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what else to say about
exactly
guitars
because
I don't know a lot about the actual guitar. Like I can't go on and on about the measurements of them. And I know some specific things about the actual making of the guitar, but not that many. I think that was one of my saving grace when Mike Kinnell made this guitar, is that I didn't badger him with ideas.
Right.
I just said, no, go ahead. And he brought me a prototype at once, and that he was working on. And I said, well, I'd like to be able to get a little higher up the neck. I'm finding it's a little difficult. And he adjusted it for that.
Wow.
And that's the only real thing I said besides. I wanted a certain width of neck. That was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally the same, where I'll take my guitar. Lately I'm taking my guitar to Brad Pearson to get it set up.
Okay, yeah, sure. I've heard of Brad.
He does great work.
Does he do bass as well?
Yeah, he does.
Right.
Yeah, he does bass, he does guitar. And I'm also not terribly demanding. It's just, I needed to be playable, and I needed to be in tune over here. I don't know what that entails. Do your best. I'll see you in a couple days.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
cause I'm a simple man. I just need the guitar to work. I need it to sound good in all parts of the guitar.
Right.
As best as possible.
Yeah.
And I need it to be comfortable to play. And that's about it. And
so you never had the feeling about, or had an idea that you'd like to play a different type of guitar, like in terms of like maybe a 7-string or.
I've always been curious about 7 strings, of course, because that's such a who does like a 7-string where that 7th string would be tuned down to an A in standard tuning.
Yeah. So the one that the person that I heard live was Bucky Pizzarelli.
Yes, Bucky does that. Okay,
Bucky, he did that. Yeah. But I believe the first person to do it was oh my God!
Well, Lenny Bro did 8-string.
But
I'm sure he had
a higher string.
Right. Yeah. He probably had a lower and a higher string.
So he had an 8-string and a 7. Oh, okay.
How do you have that higher string though?
He definitely had a higher.
Is that
string.
like a 12-string G or something like that? Like
he definitely had a higher string.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Anyways, but
this is turning into a guitar podcast.
It is.
Yeah.
It totally is a guitar. But I do have a short story about a Bucky, and that's that.
Oh yeah.
That when he was in town, a couple of times he went to town, he was playing at the Cellar, and it was just amazing to hear him play. Mm-hmm. He was in his 80s at that time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was his mid 80s, and so I wanted a lesson with him, and he was such a nice man. So he said, "Fine, come by my hotel, no problem." I can't do his accent, but he great New York accent, and like a New Jersey accent.
Right. Yeah.
And so we had this lesson, which was great. And then he said, "Okay, you're going to play my guitar now." And it's a 7-string guitar. And that's pretty crazy. Yeah. And he wouldn't let me leave until I could play the chords to watch what happens on his guitar. Which I guess I did. But he was like, "No, you're not leaving till then." And he says, "You got to get one of these. You pick it up in a minute." You know. He was so encouraging about it. Like he was almost like the ambassador for the 7-string
right,
guitar,
yeah. He's like selling you on it.
Totally selling on me.
Yeah. He's like,
great.
He's giving you the first taste for free.
He also had a great story about playing the Tonight Show in those days. Well, I guess those shows are still somewhat live, aren't they? But anyways, he was playing the Tonight Show, and he had just bought the guitar at Manny's Guitar, and this is when the Tonight Show was in New York. Mm-hmm. So this was with Carson, and so there was the big band. He had the guitar. He thought, "I'll just bring it to the gig, and I'll just ignore the low A string." So, worked out great until the band leader, Doc Severson, asked him to play an open E chord. And if you're a guitar player, you can imagine what that would. Well, it didn't sound right. Yeah, it sounded very wrong because he forgot. That the lowest note was an A.
That's a really nice A major 7 chord.
So the band just totally broke up, apparently. Yeah. I wish there was a recording of that or a tape of that. Maybe there is.
That's funny. I know 7-string guitars are more common now than they used to be, but not necessarily in jazz. I haven't really tried one out.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a bit strange. And then there's the guys who play Shoro, and they play with a 7-string guitar, but they tune it a fourth below, right? So they have low Bs, most of them, I think.
Like the whole thing is lower?
Or low Cs sometimes. Yeah. Yes, like in other words, instead of an A, instead of it's a fourth down from the E. I think that's what it is. Right. Low B. I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same.
Right. Oh, yeah. So the same
interval.
Right. Yeah. The same relative tuning.
Yeah.
I mean that. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really considered it. It's because it doesn't come up for me.
Right. But it'll happen though. I mean, there's another guy, a really great guitar player, Tim Bedner in Ottawa, and he plays the jazz guitar, 7-string, and he uses the low B, and sounds great on it. And of course, the only problem with playing with him is that he gets this great low sound when he's comping for you, and then if you're playing a duo gig and he stops comping and you sound a little anemic with your low E string, which is not as big.
I think you have to lean into that. You have to. Yeah, it's like you can't compete.
No, you cannot compete.
So you got to come up with it. You have to come out with a brand new product.
Oh man.
Yeah, I would. Tough. Yeah, I would start doing the 2-string.
You would just go somewhere else.
Like very minimal playing like seconds. Playing like major seconds on each chord kind of thing. That's probably or I would try to go full full counterpoint and just play lines.
See, you're already preparing yourself for that moment.
yeah. I'm in panic mode just thinking about it. Yeah. Actually, I mean, you have so much experience in a lot of different comping situations. What's it like, in triology when you're playing with Miles? Miles and Jody are both obviously so brilliant, but also like very sensitive players.
For sure.
Do you feel like you have to work? Do you have to work around them? Do you feel like they're working with you, or do you feel like everybody is just like you're not even thinking about it, and just whatever the sound comes out is just a result of your joined musicality?
I like that. Joined musicality. Yeah. There is that. I mean, for yourself, when you're playing with people for a long time, and we've been playing together for almost 16 years, I think. So there is that idea that once you've been playing with someone for a while, and if you have like a natural affinity for each other, personally as well as musically, that can really help. But
it's huge.
I mean, if I'm just talking about Miles for the moment, the way he listens when he plays, because of all his experience playing with vocalists, and then of course there's all my experience playing with vocalists. So when we meet and there's no vocalist, we're kind of listening to each other in a really, I think, a great way. And so you can play with piano players, and you probably have felt this, where they're not really willing to give up their space. They've got what they want to play, and you're going to have to work around that.
Yes.
But it never really feels that like that. There may be moments of that, of course, where he's going for something, and so I'll work around him, but he'll as just easily work around me.
I think that
good.
In my experience playing with piano players, I feel like all throughout when I was at CAP, in in combo class or in large ensembles or anything like that, there's kind of this there was always this thing where I think guitar players were anxious about comping with piano players, and there's this idea that like you have to take turns, right? And I think maybe that could have been something that was maybe enforced in like early combo days, like your first year or second year combo, where it's just like maybe don't comp together, give each other a turns, but maybe that was for the benefit of the teachers so that they could better hear like who was comping and how they were doing it. I don't know, but the more I was in like real playing situations with piano players, the more I realized that kind of thing did not matter. Like playing, like being like all in your head about like, oh, should I even be playing right now if the piano player is touching the keys of the piano? It's like, I think generally, if you're playing good music, then it doesn't actually matter. And the less anxiety that you enter in with, and then like the better off everybody's gonna be. I feel like the more you feel like you're gonna have to like walk on eggshells around somebody else that you're playing with, that's gonna show up in your playing.
For
right?
sure, yeah.
You're
that's for sure.
You're gonna be playing as though you're being kneecapped.
Yeah.
And like that's just not gonna come out as like a optimal product, right? And so if you can go in just thinking like, I'm going to make the best music that I can, and I trust that you also will, then that's, I imagine that's what triology is, where you just want to play the song.
Yeah, we want to play the song, and we want to have fun with it, and
Yeah.
we want to try and do something different with it that we haven't done before.
Right.
That's kind of the way we do it. We have fun, and we surprise each other.
Right.
That's kind of the way that band works, and that's something that took a while to develop, because we used to play, arrangements.
Yeah.
We had big long arrangements, and then one day, I don't know, it might have been Jody or Miles, something said, let's not play these arrangements, let's just play songs.
Yeah.
And that just changed the way we approached everything.
Right. Like you can trust your instincts with each other, and like being able to be in a group where you like each other, like you're saying, really helps with your
It does.
confidence
Yeah.
in and your ability to be like, willing to be bold, willing to try something
No,
new.
that's really good. I think what
in
you're
the
saying
moment.
is really, really useful, and that might be useful for younger musicians too. Of course, when you play with your friends, it's great. But what happens when you're playing with people you don't know? That can be also great.
I know, yeah.
But sometimes establishing some sort of relationship, even if it's a little bit of conversation before the gig, can be very useful.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah.
And that can really ease some of that anxiety about playing together, and that will help the music flow for sure.
Yeah, I feel like
it's all
totally.
It's not just about the music; it's about the connection between the people in the band. And these are things that maybe the audience isn't always aware of, but we certainly are aware of that.
Yeah,
all the time.
I feel like knowing the person and even having a sense for their sense of humor, I feel like is what helps with being able to understand how they express themselves musically.
For sure.
Because I think a sense of humor is really similar, because a lot of it has to do with your ability to improvise in conversation, and be able to process information and be able to come up with a response or a way of processing that information. And so if you can communicate in the same way musically, and with the people that you're playing with kind of understand the way that you're able to pick up on stuff
in a conversation,
then that kind of thing can come through in music.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been in situations where I'm playing with people that don't know me quite as well, and so I feel like I'll be playing something that I feel like I'm feeling good playing something, but maybe I'm not getting the reaction out of the band that I'm hoping for. And I can't describe what I'm talking about.
No,
I can only describe how I'm feeling. But like, there's a feeling of like, oh, I was hoping that maybe there would be like more of like a reaction to me doing this,
right?
Because like I do sometimes think of music as kind of like setup and punchline almost. Because that's
you're a stand-up comedian. Aren't you?
It's a narrative structure, right? So like you're setting up, and I mean, like, all standard tunes are written with narrative structure, obviously. So like if you're playing through this tune, you can get to a point where like there's kind of a payoff to what you're playing, and then the band can react to that. That's incredible. It's such an incredible feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's hard to elicit that from people that don't know you personally. But I feel like I've been able to do that with the bands that I do play with.
Right.
And that's where it like really gets to another level. It doesn't matter like what necessarily everybody's, I guess, quote unquote playing level is at.
Sure.
But if you have that ability to understand each other, I don't need somebody to be, the hottest player, but if they can understand what I'm putting down,
right,
that can go so much further, in my opinion.
Right.
Like there's so many records with Bill Frisell. I think Bill Frisell is such a good example of this, where he's not somebody that anyone would ever. I mean, he is such an incredible player, and I think he's an underrated guitarist, but I don't think people would say that he's like a chopsy player, or that he's like a shredding, jazz bebop player or something like that.
No.
But the thing is, all these records, he's made so many records with so many people, because he's so prolific and everybody knows he's playing so much. People get him and they get his sensibility. And so they react to it in kind, right? They understand his sensibility and they just go along with that. And that's what makes his records so great every time, is that people get him because people know his music so much. It helps to be famous, but you know what I mean? Like it makes a difference when people get you.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And having said all that, sometimes, and you probably had this as well, people you don't really know, you can get on the bandstand with them and still musically feel a connection, even if you don't know them,
Mm-hmm.
which is also kind of cool. And
Yeah.
that probably has more to do with your histories and what you've listened to in the world, and what your tastes are and how you
That also
perceive
helps,
music. And that's happened to me several times. The most notable one I can think of is with Oliver Gannon, and we played together the very first time, and we had that connection right away. And
Was that like right after you moved to Vancouver?
Yeah, I haven't even decided to move, and I was playing at a place called Alma Street, which was near the Cellar. Now, neither of those places exist anymore, but that's kind of the way it rolls for me.
Yeah.
And so we had a duo gig there, because I can't remember what night it was, but it used to be him and
First
Fraser.
time you played with him was it a duo gig?
A duo gig.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just duo.
Okay.
And I remember people showing up, some musicians and people, and they seemed to enjoy it, and we got along like a house on fire musically, and so that was kind of cool. And I felt that with other people as well. The first time I played with them, gotten that feeling of and then of course over the years have become good friends.
Yeah.
So I think music is one of those things that defies logic sometimes. So you don't really know why or how something is going to work out, or how you're going to react to the people you're playing, and sometimes you don't even know the effect that you're having on the audience. You may think you've had a so-so night,
totally,
and then someone comes up to you and they're like, they were riveted.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's one thing I've learned over the years, is not to judge the performance that much as you're doing it.
Totally.
And try to be
your experience is totally biased.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a way that's completely understandable to the listener.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's totally true. Where you have to take your own perception of how your playing went with a grain of salt.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has validity, but it's not the be all end all of it. And so just, chill a bit about that. If you didn't like something about your playing, well, then work on that for next time, but don't, I know there are lots of examples of people, apparently Bill Evans was very hard on himself. He was really hard on himself, and he would get depressed about if he had like a bad gig or what he felt was a bad gig. I know that I got to hear Bill Evans a number of times. Yeah. And that was always, there were always very magical moments to hear.
Wow.
To hear him and his different trios. I heard 2 different trios.
You came to Montreal?
Yeah, in Montreal, yeah. And in Waitsfield, Vermont, actually. It's the first time I heard him.
Whoa.
That's a longer story. That was I was barely out of my teens, and we went down with some friends from Montreal to Vermont.
Is that a quick drive?
What's that?
Quick drive to Vermont?
We took the bus.
Okay.
And I don't remember how long that was. It's not that far, a couple hours. Yeah. And and it was an outdoor jazz festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I have a picture of the poster somewhere, but Bill Evans was there, and Dave Brubeck, and George Benson. George Benson was the one I was going for, because I was big into George Benson. I think he had just released Breezin' a couple of years before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this must have been mid-'70s.
Late 70s.
Okay, yeah.
Late 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm not sure we got onto that, but it was a great
You went
experience.
to go see Bill Evans, yeah.
Bill Evans. Oh, who else was playing? There's so many people playing it. Maybe Chuck Mangione was playing.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do also remember we were tenting, so a bunch of us were in this tent, and it was like one of these old canvas tents, and it started to rain in the middle of the night. It was really great. And
it
was just...
The canvas didn't hold?
The canvas, it barely held. I think it got wet. And then it was my first experience also sort of hitchhiking and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, which I guess, it seems to me that it's not something that people do as much, but
There's not as much need for it.
Probably.
There's a lot of ways to get around these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no such thing as rideshare back then, and we were
Yeah.
in a small town, and we just arrived on a bus and realized, oh, we're not anywhere near the actual festival.
Oh, no.
So we had to hitchhike our way there.
Oh, really?
back.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure people are still hitchhiking for sure, but it's
there were
it's different these days.
alternatives to
yeah.
hitchhiking if they didn't exist before.
Yeah, that's kind of like in Vancouver, people go down to Seattle, see some shows.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple down there. I went to see Roy Hargrove once at the Jazz Alley.
Yeah, what a great club, eh?
Yeah.
Jazz Alley is such a great club.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so cool.
How does that work? It's such a big club, and yet
It's right downtown.
the sound is always great.
Yeah.
and it seems like everywhere you sit, you get a good view of the stage.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's really
It's
an
nice.
amazing spot.
It's nice to have that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like a big, wide room
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Which is not typical for jazz clubs.
No.
Kind of reminds me of what's a room kind of like that? Like in New York, there's like the huge one, Dizzy's.
Oh, Dizzy's. Yeah.
is enormous.
Yeah, Dizzy's is big. Yeah.
But I think Jazz Alley has
it's even
two
larger.
levels too. I think it has a balcony. Yeah, I haven't been there such a long time now.
Yeah. Well, we don't go to the States anymore.
No,
but-
that's true.
but-
That's for a different podcast.
That's a
Yeah.
different podcast. Yes.
Do you? When was the last? Have you toured in the States before?
Yep, done some touring in the States for sure. I used to play in Boston with a really great singer named Lisa Thorson.
Okay.
Yeah, and I played. We went from here to New York to play at the IAJE, which was at that time the sort of a jazz educators conference, and with Jill's big band, Jill Townsend's jazz orchestra.
Yep.
And then I played down the coast with a friend of mine, Ron Peters, a great Seattle guitar player, and then also with Corey and Ross Taggart, Corey Weeds, Ross Taggart, Bernie Rye, and Dr. Lonnie Smith.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we played Seattle, and we played. Did we play Portland? Played Seattle for sure. I think we played Portland as
That's
well.
incredible.
Yeah, it was fun.
Playing with Dr. Lonnie.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a highlight for sure.
Dude.
Yeah, he was a force of nature. That guy.
Yeah.
He like.
I gotta ask Bernie about that.
Yeah, ask Bernie about that. And Bernie,
just playing with.
Yeah.
As the rhythm section with Lonnie Smith. Oh my gosh.
It was a really interesting band. I think there are some videos of that actually. I don't know if they're up on YouTube, but there are some videos. I do remember at the end of that tour, Lonnie got sick for the very last concert. We were at the Bell Center in here.
Oh yeah.
And
in Surrey?
In Surrey.
Yeah.
And we were in the green room, and he could barely stand up.
Oh wow.
He was really sick. He was like really had bad stomach flu.
Oh no.
And so we kind of carried him up to the stage. He slowly walked to his B3 organ, and then once he was on the organ and we started the tune, everything was fine. He just played, and it was great.
Yeah.
Between tunes, he kind of slumped down and he put his head on the organ. And I honestly don't know how he got through that, because he was not feeling well. But he played the gig, and he sounded great.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah, it reminds me of opening up with again Ross Taggart, myself, Darren Radke, Dave Robbins. Anyways, we were opening up a concert for Dave Brubeck, and Dave Brubeck came on stage very slowly, and he kind of like. Remember Tim Conway, that'd be before your time, but Tim Conway used to have this bit on the Carol Burnett show. He was an older man, and he used to have these tiny steps. He'd walk so slowly.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. And but then he got to the piano, and he just shed like 30 years. He was 30 years younger once he
Wow.
got the piano, which kind of gives us all hope, don't you think, Chris?
Oh yeah.
You're a young man, so it's not something you need to think about.
I don't think I do realize that I'm in the earlier part of my music career.
Yes.
And I mean, I've this scene has a great history of people playing well into their 70s, 80s. You know, I'm not concerned about getting too old anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, it is an amazing thing of that music has that sort of thing. Like it's once you get to that age, it's the thing you've probably done more than anything else. Like if you were, you could probably put music close to like maybe third place next to eating and sleeping for like percentage of your life spent.
Yeah, for sure.
Once you've gotten to that age. And so like that's the thing that you're most comfortable doing compared to anything else.
Somehow your body will can react to it and can sort of, it's not really turning on a switch, although with Ollie it did, not Ollie, but with Dr. Lonnie Smith it did seem like that.
Yeah. And you played with him later too with the big band, with Jill's big band, right?
And then later on we had a amazing concert. I thought it was amazing where it was Jill Townsend Jazz Orchestra with Lonnie Smith.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Because it was like two big bands, because he's like a big band himself.
Totally, yeah. That's kind of the idea of the organ almost, is that it's essentially the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
And talk about, thinking orchestrally. On the organ, I mean, Lonnie really thinks about that. He really thinks about the different sounds he can get, and he really thinks orchestrally. Like, I think he's inspired and influenced many organ players. I know for sure someone like Chris Jestrin is really influenced by him.
Yeah, Chris Jestrin, first organ player I ever saw play. Here in Vancouver, I used to go to the Cellar on Tuesdays when they had B3 Beatdown.
Right.
So it was exactly. Chris, and Jesse
Corey,
Cahill,
and Corey,
and Corey,
like a special guest, or maybe not always Corey. Sometimes
it was just the two of them. It was just Jesse and Chris,
right,
plus somebody. That's usually what it was. Yeah. So a lot of the time it was Corey. Yeah. Sometimes it was Dave Sekula. I think you had done it.
Yeah, I did it.
I remember there was one day, only one time that I can remember that Ihor Kukurudza did it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
A great guitar player, teacher from Capilano, Ihor Kukurudza, who's since retired and moved back to Toronto, yeah. You keep in touch with Ihor?
I do. Yeah. I saw him maybe about a year ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, how's he doing?
Dinner together. He's doing good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing some sessions with some weekly sessions with a couple different groups. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. He was one of my teachers, one of my guitar teachers. Man, so how long did you teach at Cap? 20 years? No, not quite.
No, longer than that actually.
Oh, really?
I believe it was 28 years.
28.
Yeah, because I got the 25-year certificate, and I think I did 3 more years after that.
Wow.
Pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. Let's say that.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. Yeah.
That's a long time.
And the first half of that, or the first 10 years, anyways, I was teaching private music instruction, guitar.
Yep.
And then some composition, private music instruction, and then I got hired on to do courses, and that was a very different. A different thing. I'm still taught guitar after that, but
not as much.
Not as much. Yeah. But I was teaching more overall, so that was a really interesting time for me. And then part of the deal is that they hired me with the understanding that I would acquire a master's degree during my time there.
Via.
They didn't care how I got it.
Oh,
they just wanted me to get a master's degree. They said, "This is you've been hired, but with the understanding that you have to get one."
Right.
And so
I do remember you getting it while I was at Cap.
Right. And so that's what I had to do.
Yeah, you went to SFU.
I went to SFU, and I was I hadn't really thought about, masters, and just kind of looked at what there was in BC, and you can't get a jazz master's
Nope.
in BC.
Not yet.
And so at that point it was really just Montreal and Toronto, and I didn't want to go back to Montreal. I just moved there, 9 or 10 years earlier. Anyways, it was my friend Jody Prosnick who had done the SFU arts education program, and she recommended that to me. And that it was actually great because how often do we, as jazz musicians, get a chance to learn and talk to other art teachers?
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot from them, and I learned a lot from my teachers. But just the idea of studying teaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what, oh, well, we know how to do something, but learning how to teach it is something that we kind of done on our own or picked up bits and pieces from people.
By osmosis.
Yeah. Here's how I learned
emulation.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really great.
You came out of that like more confident in your ability to teach in general, or was it more about like your ability to maybe create a more coherent lesson plan, or what were the main takeaways you got from that program that helped your?
Yeah, the main takeaway was, well, the feeling I got was that I had more confidence in teaching classes, especially.
Okay, yeah.
And then as you say, creating maybe a lesson plan. I mean, that was part of it, but it wasn't a big part of it. I think what the big thing was that we were, two things. One was that just because I learned something a certain way, I started to think about different people and their personalities, and either not insisting or at least looking for different ways to teach people rather than saying, well, I learned it this way, therefore you need to learn it this way.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing. That really opened up my eyes in terms of that. I really walked the walk after that, I felt. And the other thing was that it put you in a very vulnerable position when I was taking this course, because we had to do things like we had to do visual art. We had to do some sort of drama. We had to do even dance. We had to do all these different art practices. We had to write, write not music, but write words and short stories. And so in doing all those, it kind of made me feel probably how my students were feeling.
Right.
It gave me more empathy for my students.
Yeah.
And not just more empathy, but maybe more understanding what they're going through, because I had just been through it.
Right.
This
Yeah.
program, and that was really useful.
That's really interesting, because I feel like a lot of the time, especially in music programs or art programs, a lot of the time the faculty will be made up of people who are who took to the music quite naturally, right? Especially at CAP. I mean, like the level of musicianship, like the players, like the teachers are such accomplished players at CAP. And my understanding is that was a big, that was like a push, like when they were hiring the faculty, is like, we want the faculty to be like good players. And I'm not casting any judgment about if that's a good or a bad thing, but I feel like maybe there is a tendency for people who take to something naturally to it'll be harder for them to relate to somebody who isn't taking to the music as naturally as they would, and so like putting yourself in a situation where you're feeling exposed and unsure of yourself in a discipline that you're not used to, like dancing or drama, because then you're in if you don't know what to do next, then you can put yourself in that situation where you're like, okay, so there's probably someone in my class who's thinking like, wait, I'm totally lost, right?
Yeah. What do they need at this moment? And that was really, really great. Yeah. So it turned out to be a good thing. I think I became a better teacher and saw teaching as art. Teaching is an art practice, I believe, actually. And so that's,
I like that.
That's something that I have held on to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you had a reputation for being a really good and understanding teacher at CAP, and somebody who did not create a high pressure environment in classes, and I think that's something to be proud of for sure, because music school has a bad reputation of being high pressure.
We tend to all music programs tend to be very demanding.
Yeah.
They tend to be, I didn't realize this at first, but some of the most demanding programs in the entire school, really. And not that that's easy to compare, but it seems
you're
to
taking
be
like 7-8 classes at a time. Like,
yeah. And there's, in terms of like, you could just be practicing your instrument all that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you've got all these other things that you've got to do. And there's a time management, juggling, which everyone does.
Yeah.
But I think, I can see that sometimes we push people over the edge in academic institutions, because it's a little bit of a one size fits all, and saying, okay, well, you've got to, there's going to be a jury next week, and or next month, and these are the things you have to be able to do, and sometimes people aren't ready to do them, and it's not their fault. They came in at a certain level, or the way that they're learning is maybe a bit slower. I mean, everyone can improve. But not everyone improves at the same rate.
Totally. I was in that situation once when I was in my second year at CAP. I was just woefully underprepared for my it wasn't a jury, it was the evaluation, 300 level evaluation with
so the in-class evaluation.
Just with it was with Ron. And I wasn't ready. And and looking back, he was much kinder about it than I realized in the moment. Because I got to CAP like I was quite young, I was right out of high school. Like that September when I started school in 2009, I was 17 years old. I was super, super young. I hadn't had guitar lessons before I got to CAP. And so, I was new to like someone telling me what to do on the guitar. And I skated by my first year, and then the other shoe dropped basically in my third semester, where I was supposed to have like a classical piece ready, and I didn't have it ready. I don't think I even had it. I didn't bring it. I was like,
hard to give you a mark for that.
Yeah, and understandably, Ron was unimpressed. We could say that.
He was unimpressed,
and he gave me a 51.
Wow.
He gave me a 51, and I was already planning on switching over to EHOR the next semester. I'd already told him about that.
Right.
And he was like, okay, I'm going to give you 51. I'm going to let you pass. But I'm telling EHOR about this. And, he's not going to...
He won't be putting up... He won't be as nice as I am.
No, exactly.
Is what he's going to say.
I don't think... EHOR was very different as a teacher. But that was, I think I didn't know how to like ask for help. Right. And I didn't know how to, up until that point, I think a lot of people have that realization where, I was the best musician in my high school, but I'm not the best musician in this school. Right. I'm not, I haven't been in a situation where I failed at doing something musically yet.
Right.
And using the word fail is a little bit strange when talking about playing music, but in this case, I mean, we're in an
if you
institution.
show up
without the music I'm supposed to play, I think
you kind of failed.
That slots into the definition.
It's very nice of him to pass you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's unnecessary, I would say, completely unnecessary.
But what I want to know is, did you get yourself? Well, I know you probably did, but what happened the next semester?
Well, to be honest, I did come to the realization that I messed up. Right. I owned up.
Right.
And I realized I really, I think in the moment I was kind of like stubborn, but I did realize, like, no, this was my fault ultimately, and I am responsible for, my development. Mm-hmm. And
that's it.
And I had these lessons with Ihor. And I love Ihor, but those lessons with Ihor, we did not play guitar.
So you talked.
We just talked.
Yeah. Okay.
We talked about the pentatonic scale quite a bit, pentatonic substitutions and harmony and all that kind of stuff, and that was Ihor's teaching style. And I think that was really helpful, and I needed that. I needed that kind of like, rock bottom moment where I kind of had to come to my senses. But despite like Ron's frustration with me and everything, like, he was still like able to be, he did stick his neck out, right? He didn't have to give me 51. I got 0. Like, it should have been 0 on that test, but he gave me 51. And I think he probably understood that I would learn from this and be able to move on. But also, I don't think he wanted to fail anybody. It's probably not great to have to fail, a second-year student. But yeah.
Well, you came out of it very well in the end, so we'll say it was the right decision.
I think I think I needed him to do that for sure, because I don't even know, like, if you go to every class, can you fail PMI? I don't think you can. I think you just get a really low grade or something. But
it all depends on. It all depends if you do any work or not. Yeah, failing people. It's not what everyone wants to do, right? We all want to see our students thrive. So, but anyways, my experience at SFU was definitely a good one. I would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about teaching any type of art practice to do that, to learn about it.
I've thought about it. I've thought about it ever since you went there. I don't have my master's yet, so I've thought about. Yeah, because I would have to go. I would have to leave.
Yeah,
I'd have to leave if I wanted to get a master's in jazz.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I've gone back and forth on it over the years because, it would be such a huge change, and I'm still not sure about it. But I like the idea, like, because if I were to go and get a master's degree, it would be in order to teach at a post-secondary institution. Sure. So why not learn how to teach better? Right? I guess I could learn more about jazz, of course, but I could spend my entire life learning more about jazz. And no matter how much I learn at a school, I'm still going to be learning more about jazz afterwards. So,
exactly.
But learning, like having like that multidisciplinary approach, I think I mean, that sounds really helpful, and I feel like a lot of people would benefit from that. Like, do you think your ability to empathize with your students was like the main takeaway?
Yeah, but I think it was, again, more slightly deeper than just empathy. It was more like, okay, well, you can have empathy for someone, but sort of empathy and understanding of what they're going through. Like literally, I felt this a couple of months ago, and I think I'm. You have like a fresh memory of what that was like, and so what was useful to me in that moment. I'll try to find something that's useful to that person in that moment.
Yeah,
and being kind is part of it, and having some different options for them to different ways to learn and not be stuck on one way to learn or and it's more difficult in a classroom situation, but a lot of my classroom situation was also teaching combos. So there was, you could do, one-on-one to a certain extent when you talk to people in combos. And I did quite a bit of that. And listening to people. Yeah, listening to people also is a big deal as a teacher. Just listening to what they have to say and find out where they're at can be very useful.
Yeah.
You have your own information you want to impart. You have things you want them to learn. But knowing a bit more about them is proved to be useful to me as a teacher.
Yeah. Do you find like it would happen often where you realize that there's kind of something about the way a student learns that you didn't realize? Like,
yeah, well, that's an interesting question thing, because I not only how they learn, but maybe how they express themselves. For when I started teaching jazz history, I found that I wanted the kind of conversation that we would have in a master's degree, like sitting around and having sort of interesting conversation.
I remember you doing this thing. Yeah, like we had this class called Jazz Styles, which is kind of like an extension of the jazz history thing, like a couple years later. Yeah. And I remember having these like forums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted people to talk about the readings they were having, and I wanted them to discuss amongst themselves too. But I found that some people would and some people wouldn't. Mm-hmm. But what I did is sometimes I got people to write instead of, now maybe I hadn't figured that out by the time. I can't remember the sequence of events when, if I had actually taken my master's by the time you were in my
I think
class.
you were back by the time I took Jazz Styles,
So what I'm trying to say here is that some people express themselves quite well in writing, and were willing to do that, and not willing to go out on a limb and actually say something in front of their peers.
I mean, it makes plenty of sense.
And so I did understand that, and so people wanting to express themselves in different ways. That was kind of interesting. It wasn't just a matter of not having something to say. It was more a matter. Sometimes it might be they haven't done the reading, and so there's nothing for them to talk about.
That's just not the avenue that they would take.
That's not the avenue that they were most comfortable with.
Yeah. And so I think, and I guess a part of it is you might have this. I mean, I love the forum thing, but I also obviously I like talking. Yeah,
you like talking, so it's easy for you. But did you find any part of it more difficult? Because there was also something that one of my teachers talked about, that idea of the different ways a conversation might go. So in other words, those who are good at listening, those that are good at expressing themselves. Yeah. And then those who might, like one of the other things they talked about, and I can't remember the word we used, but the idea of sort of not being reactionary about someone who was talking. So you didn't just sort of like blurt something out necessarily to in response to what they were saying. You took a moment to think about it.
Yeah, there were a couple classes, I took like a couple these kinds of class discussions would happen in electives more often. So like if I was taking I took like a sociology class. Right. And there was always one guy who would have something to say that was like very unpopular opinion kind of guy, hot take. Right. He would always have a hot take because it was a sociology class and we'd be talking about feminist theory or something like that. And so I think, like what I learned is that like, it's, you want to let people like, let out as much of their opinion as they can, right? Because if you're too quick to react to how somebody says, like, first of all, you might just be reacting to part of the idea that they have. Exactly. And then you could be misrepresenting their idea because now you're reacting to a half-formed idea. But also, like, for me personally, I also am the kind of person that sometimes needs to I need to render my thoughts by speaking them sometimes. Right. So, yes. Especially in a conversational type or a discussion type thing, I'll have an idea in my head, but I can't. It's not like it's written down in my head. I need it to become real by speaking it, and so I might be one of those people that just blurts something out. But yeah, like you have to have like that self-control. Now I'm trying to think of what my idea was anyway. But yeah, different people are different ways.
Yeah, they have different ways, and that was part of it too. But it did also relate to music. You know, like you've got to listen when you're playing.
Yeah,
you've got to be good at listening, and you've also got, if you're not good at expressing yourself well in music, you got to learn how to express yourself, because that's a big part. You know? You've got a comp and you've got a solo.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
that even goes for a horn player. Then their comping could be musical once in a while, but it could be just literally listening while they're not playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
totally.
I always remember this situation again, going back to O'Doul's for some reason. I was playing a trio gig and Dave Robbins was playing drums, and I think it was Darren was playing bass, and it was a ballad. And at some point, Dave just dropped out, literally stopped playing during a ballad, and he was there listening to what we were doing. He was still part of the trio, even though it's like he didn't like, you know, get up from the drums and walk away, or he didn't like check his phone. You know, he was obviously, but just the way like how do you it's not just that, because I wasn't really looking at him, but I can feel his attention on us. Yeah, and he's like probably thinking, when should I come back in?
Yes.
You know? But also listening to the music. So he was as much part of the music while he wasn't playing as he was while
I was
he was
having
playing.
this conversation about the use of space with another musician the other day. And how, you know, there's a lot of ways of conceptualizing space and silence in music and that kind of thing. And I'm sure this is probably, maybe something that you had anxiety. Oh, I shouldn't place that on you, but when it comes to like playing solo guitar, I know you're perfectly comfortable playing solo guitar these days, but when you start out playing solo guitar, right, you have this concern that you're not going to be able to fill up enough space. That's definitely something that I had about like playing trio guitar for the first time that I was doing it for a while. And I was able to play a lot of trio at the Lieber Room.
Oh yeah.
Right. 10 years ago, or, I was playing there probably twice a month for a while. And like, that was a lot for me. And the first time that I played there, I was really concerned. Like I was very intimidated by the idea of trio because I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to fill enough space.
Right.
And, you know, I eventually just through the necessity of having to play the gig at all, I just learned how to play trio just like, you know, the way that I do it now.
Right.
And the more that I've played music and played in more, played duo quite a bit with singers, or even played solo now, the way that I conceptualize space, I wonder how you think about this, but it's really just that you can't, you shouldn't be concerned about filling space, because space is going to be filled by time either way. Like, it's not that nothing is happening. It's just that time is going to go by. It's not like the universe freezes and time stops when you stop playing.
Right.
There is going to be a period of maybe no music or very minimal sound during a period when you're not playing the guitar. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that everything stops. It just means that it's now just being filled by whatever is filling that space. Right. And so, you know, like what Dave is doing, like you could think of it as, you conceptualize it in so many ways. You could think of it as he's playing silence. He's using silence as an instrument, or he's allowing that texture to take place. Because you know, you can think of it as like the trio texture is like 33% guitar, 33% bass, 33% drums, or maybe in Dave Robbins' case, 34% drums.
Yeah, it might be that.
We love you, Dave. And then when he drops out, it becomes 50% guitar, 50% bass.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have that texture.
Right.
It's a different thing.
Right. It's the same thing as if you drop out as a guitar player.
Yeah.
Really, and you just let the saxophone player and or whatever kind of situation you're in, you let those instruments play.
Yeah.
And that actually brings different things out. The bass player, if he's a good bass player, he or she will play a little bit differently because the guitar is not playing, or there's no copy instrument that's not playing.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going back to this idea of thinking about not just the guitar orchestrally, but thinking about whatever group you're in.
Yeah.
In a way.
Right.
What kind of different textures can we find?
Yeah. And when you think about orchestral music, think about when they're playing the beginning of, I don't know, like the Mozart C minor mass or something, where it's like,
yep.
A lot of the time they'll play it like very slowly, and there'll be like those pauses in between, right? Da 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 da. Right, like you have that moment of silence, and that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That like it doesn't sound the same without it.
Right.
And like and that's tension too. You can use it as tension.
Mm-hmm.
That change in texture can be tension.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other thing when you start thinking about tension in new ways, like not just harmonically, tension in terms of arrangement, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great. So when are you going to make your solo guitar album, right? I mean, the way you talked about time going by was exactly the way that Jim Hall described it when he put out a solo album, actually, which
really?
Many people don't know about. A lot of it was actually two guitars. He recorded.
Oh, okay, yeah. Kind of like Bill Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit like that. Yeah. Where he played Conversations with Myself, I believe he called that.
Yeah.
But the Jim Hall one is Dedications and Inspirations, I think it was called.
Okay.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. But he talked about the way that time would go by in the same way you're talking about. Time does go by.
Yeah.
And there was there's another like solo guitar album that was quite influential one time, because I think he made that around the time that I was studying with him, and a couple of those pieces were just reactions, like free reactions to something. Like he would think about Monet, and then he would do like a free improv on Monet, and I did some of that in my solo, guitar, but I did not end up using it. So all the things that I have on there are solo guitar, although there's one piece that I wrote called Fall Rain at Night, which is two guitars.
Oh yeah.
Overdub, but otherwise it's just me.
Nice.
But I would say that I can see now, and I listened to the whole thing for the first time in a while today, before you got here, and I thought about what happens if Chris asks me about it and says, "Are you happy with it?" And I thought, well, I'm happy with it, but I'm not satisfied, because I think that's the difference, right? I think we can be happy with something, and say yes, but there's something more, and that's probably how most musicians feel all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Except some of us, sometimes when we're younger, we just aren't happy, and we just we can't quite. But I think it's good to learn how to be happy with what you've done, and at the same time you can have that feeling of not being satisfied.
Yeah, I think that's I think I know what you mean. Where it's I'm not sure if I would ask that, because I also know that it's a very personal question, but also your opinion on your own work can probably change from day to day.
It could.
Right?
It could.
I know that you the fact that it's being released means that you're probably as happy with it as you can be. you know,
exactly. I'm happy enough to have it released.
Yeah. And
then on hearing about it, I think, oh well, I might do this differently next time, and I might do that.
Yeah.
So there are things that
I think that's healthy to to feel like wanting more, or finding hearing somewhere where you can, because it really means that you're still able to extract inspiration, right?
For sure.
Like being able to get those ideas,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're able to we're always going to be picking our own playing apart in when you're listening to your own recording. But I think a recording is a snapshot of where you are in that moment, right? Yeah. So you're always going to be your harshest critic, and but I think I that makes a lot of sense to me. It is hard to describe, but yeah, like you can't be like fully satisfied, and then also have the idea that like, all right, well, let's make another one.
Yeah, right? That's right. Yeah, because if you're fully satisfied, then maybe there would be no point in going on. One of the things that I thought about when I made this record was that I wanted to record some beautiful songs.
Yeah. And
so you
got some of the best ones on here.
Yeah. So from that point of view, I'm definitely happy about that. Some of these, because you asked earlier, you said were they arrangements that I've been playing a long time. Well, actually, I would say I
mean, these are all tunes I've heard you play for years and years and years. But
yeah, you probably haven't heard me play We'll Be Together Again, because that one was new. That one was new. Anyways, what's interesting is that, and I guess also I sort of worked on But Beautiful more recently as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are things that I've been playing for a long time. And I was happy with the idea that they would be arrangements that I had played previously, but they wouldn't always be exactly the same, and there would always be some improvising in it.
Yeah.
And so I would say maybe what's the first one on it again? That's
you got All the Things.
Yeah, All the Things. All the Things was I learned the verse. That's the only one that has a verse on it. And so I learned the verse.
Yeah, okay.
And so that one is actually in 2 different keys. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's actually in, check it out. It's in 2 different keys. And the reason was because I wanted to play the verse using an open string.
Oh, okay.
And I played, I think it's the first chorus I played in a certain key. And then I changed keys to go to the original key, which is A flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you play through the form
A major.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you play through the form as well after the verse.
The form. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm glad you didn't catch that because that means that it was fairly, it was like what like
I feel like you masked it with your reharmonization though.
Yeah. But if you listen again, you'll probably hear it. I remember I don't know if you ever listened to you probably heard this, Frank Sinatra doing Quiet Nights and Quiet Stars, or Corcovado. And that arrangement is like that too. He actually changes key.
He does that all the time.
In the middle of that.
Yeah. Or like he'll change key for like the last A section or something like that. I think he does that in Smoke Gets in Your Eyes or something like that. Like the last A section is like a half step up or something. Like
it's also something that Bill Evans did quite a bit. And a lot of the times you don't notice it. So that was kind of my idea here, that it wouldn't become like, oh, okay, we're going up a half step or whatever it is. You're not trying to make it into a big moment. You're just trying to move there, which creates, of course, slightly different texture, a slightly different sound.
You can play it differently on the guitar.
You can play it differently on the guitar and all those types of things.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I remember having a lesson with Peter Bernstein and him talking about going to the bridge in I'm forgetting the name of the song. My Heart is Sad and Lonely. Body and Soul. Body and Soul. Going to the bridge in Body and Soul, and how people do it too quickly. People are too cool about going to D from D flat.
Right.
And how you need to insert more drama.
Interesting.
But I think there's a difference there because that modulation is built into the song.
It's built into the song, yeah.
So it's part of the structure of the song is that there's a dramatic entrance into a new key in the B section. So as opposed to making the arranging decision of playing the whole thing in another key, I mean, you can do that however you want, and like anybody can play it however they want. But But I wonder what his take on that would be.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He was very adamant.
All right, I'll send it to him and see what he thinks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if you listen to Moonbeams, Bill Evans,
yes,
you'll hear him play the tune Polka Dots and Moonbeams.
Mm-hmm.
He actually plays, I think he plays the first A section in D, and then he goes to F. And I did not realize that for many years. I just would listen to it, and then I went and I'd actually transcribed the chords that he's like, oh my goodness, he's in a different key. Well, how come I didn't catch that? And and that sort of, that happened years ago, and I sort of piqued my interest about that whole idea about changing keys and how that could just be an interesting thing to do.
Well, maybe it's also it's easier to miss because it's the same melody. He's playing the melody. It's just
playing the melody.
In a new key.
Yeah.
And so like you're hearing the melody and like that part sounds fine. So like you don't think any further than that because he's harmonizing it beautifully because he's Bill Evans and
exactly.
But then if you go into it and he's like, oh, he made like a little decision here. He made like an executive decision where like, oh, we're gonna do this in a new key. It's gonna have a new color.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it in a subtle way is also like so cool, and it's nice to have like that as like almost like a surprise where like you need to like listen to it a little closer to realize that.
So it happens. There's an unconscious freshness about it, but you don't necessarily hear it the first time or the second time. And I'm sure you've done that too in your own playing, where you might want to do the whole tune in a different key. Never mind changing the key, but a tune might be played in E flat and might go, well, this would be great in D actually.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm playing solo guitar.
Totally. Yeah.
Because then I've got some open string possibilities.
Yeah, I like to play All the Things You Are in C.
C major.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So starting on an A minor.
A minor. Okay.
Because that sits quite nicely on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But
C major. The people's key.
The people's key.
You're still going to go into many different keys, of course.
Well,
Such a crafty tune, so well crafted.
Yeah.
I was, I hope I have this right because I've been saying for years that the composer of that tune didn't really like jazz. It was not really his thing, which is kind of incredible to me. But I mean, it wasn't those tunes written in the 30s and the 40s. People weren't thinking about jazz per se necessarily. No. They were thinking about, they wanted a great tune for a show, or they were writing a bunch of tunes for a show or for a movie, and a lot of those great standards that we still play today come out of that American Popular Songbook.
Well, what is the what's the origin of that kind of harmony, though, like making its way into American musical theater, like having all these key changes, having all these what's the lineage there?
Yeah, I mean
that as a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how it kind of like just suddenly, just like this Tin Pan Alley. All these composers kind of have the same sensibility.
Or at least the tunes that we play still play.
I guess so. There is kind of a survivorship bias, I suppose, where the ones that we like are also the ones that lend themselves best to jazz.
Yeah.
And also we've reharmonized them over the years as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Sure.
Because like the way that we play Stella by Starlight, for example, is totally different from how it was.
Right, which it originally started on a diminished chord.
Diminished chord,
yeah. That reminds me of the guitar player Jimmy Rainey, who I also really love, and made a great solo album actually, just called Solo, which I used to listen to quite a bit. And Rick Kilburn, who's a bass player who used to play a lot in town, I believe he lives on the island now. He played with Jimmy Rainey because he lived in New York for quite a while. And first of all, we're talking about keys here. Jimmy didn't say anything about the tune. He just said Stella. So the way that most people think of Stella, it's in the key of B flat.
Right. The original key is G.
Yeah. And so Jimmy Rainey started playing in G, first of all. And he started on G diminished.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yep.
right? So like two things.
Yeah.
And Rick said he just fumbled for a while until he finally figured out what was going on because he had never played it in a different key.
Oh,
and he
wow.
had never played it with the original chord changes. And apparently he said, and I said, well, what did Jimmy do during this time? He says, he just smiled at me till I got it.
That's Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do?
That kind of goes back to our sink or swim concept.
Totally, yeah.
Like things that happen to you on stage.
Yeah,
Where you just really have to react in real time and
absolutely
do your best. Make
Yeah,
music.
yeah, man, that's a that's a great story. Honestly,
Yeah.
That's so funny. Because because you're on stage, like I'm imagining myself being in that situation and being terrified, but then also like he's Jimmy Rainey's not going to bite. He's like, he's also on stage with me.
Yeah, he wants to make it work.
The stakes are just as high for him right now.
Yeah, he wants it to work.
He doesn't benefit from me being, me feeling anxiety while we're performing together.
Mm.
So, yeah, like leading with kindness and being, like
he was smiling.
I
guess he could have said it was.
I guess it could have been anything. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, that's an old school approach too.
How much teeth were in the smile?
Yeah. That's an old school approach.
What did his eyes look like? Where his eyebrows? What angle were his eyebrows at when he was smiling? Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's a great story. It's been awesome talking to you, Bill. Man,
we probably overstayed our limit here.
No, there's no limit.
It's good. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for people to hear this record. I'm going to listen to this at home. Man, 13 tracks.
13 tracks. Yeah, some of them are short.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a couple places where I just play the melody through once.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean.
Yeah,
short, I guess. Longer than most pop songs,
Yeah.
We're at, what's the longest one? 4:40.
Yeah, the shortest one is probably 2 something.
Yeah. But that's how soul guitar is. I mean, you can't comp for somebody else. I mean, you probably could have like mostly comping on a tune, and it would sound great.
That'll be for the next one. I'll just do like a play along record.
Totally, yeah.
Along with it.
Man, that would sell. That would sell. You should have a Patreon. That'd be great. But why don't we call it there?
Okay, sounds good.
Man, thanks again for having me over, Bill.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Standard Elegance coming out on Friday. Yeah.
And just one more thing. This particular record is dedicated to my mother, Iris Page. And if you look inside, you'll see it says that.
That's beautiful.
The music on this recording is dedicated to my mother, Iris Page.
On the inside?
Yeah,
okay.
It says it on the inside. Yeah,
I gotta crack it open.
Crack it open, and you find that. So without her,
that's beautiful.
I wouldn't be here, and also I wouldn't be a musician. So there we go.
May she rest in peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Bill for welcoming me into his home, making me a cup of coffee, and having a lovely little conversation with me there. It was a real treat. Like we mentioned, his new solo record is coming out, Standard Elegance, on the Stellar Jazz record label. So please check that out. And if you want to see where Bill is going to be playing anytime soon in the scene, or anybody else mentioned in the episode, as always, head over to rhythmchanges.ca, sign up for the weekly email, and check out the gig list. Participate in the scene. We'd love to have you. As always, thank you for listening to the episode. See you on the next one.